Hey guys, Josh from soccerreviewsforyou.com, bringing you my review plus on-feet video of the Nike ID Elastico Finale 3 indoors. Now as you can see, it does come in your standard black and white Nike ID box. Pop open the lid and you can see inside all you get are the shoes themselves. So we'll get these guys out of the box really quickly and of course take a closer look at the shoes. Now as you guys can see, these are a custom color, not the standard colorway releases that we've seen of this particular shoe from Nike at this point in time, and that's because these are made through Nike ID. For those that are unfamiliar with the service, it's a customization service on offer from Nike that allows you to personalize the color of any given model within their service, of course. Today we're going to be talking specifically about the Elastico Finale 3, and like any customization service, whether it be Nike ID or any other company, there is of course a premium to having a custom colorway. Now a standard general release colorway of the Elastico Finale 3 retails for $90 US, whereas if you want to go the Nike ID route and create your own custom color, they're going to run you $130 US. So there is a $40 premium to create your own custom color. That's something that is going to be totally worth it to some people and absolutely not worth it to others. That's kind of something you have to determine for yourself. The quality from my experience tends to be pretty much identical or on par with what you're going to get from a general colorway release. Again, you're just paying for that service to have a custom color as opposed to just buying a general release color that more people are going to have. Obviously, these are kind of one of one, if you will. So that's what you pay the extra $40 for essentially. And with any customization service as well, there is a waiting period from when you place your order to when your shoes are actually going to arrive, and that's because these things are essentially made to order. They are one of ones. So from when you place your order, they estimate with this particular model, and please keep in mind that the time frame for when you place your order to when your shoes will arrive actually does vary from model to model. I checked Nike ID as of today and they estimate 22 days from when you place your order to when your Nike Elastico 3 should arrive. So that's about 3 weeks and 1 day. Mine actually arrived in about 2.5 weeks and maybe a couple days extra. So below the actual estimated time, which I was pretty happy with. The ordering process was smooth. The customization tool is very, very easy to use, and they arrived sooner than expected. So as far as my experience with Nike ID this time around, it was, like I said, very, very smooth, pretty seamless, and I have no complaints to report whatsoever. So in today's video, we're going to go over kind of the options that I went for with this particular colorway, what is available within the customization service, as well as the overall quality of this Nike ID Elastico Finale 3 versus a general colorway release of the exact same shoe. We'll compare them side by side and of course take a look at how these shoes fit and feel as well. So if any of that information interests you, please stick around for the video. If you haven't played around with these on Nike ID yet, check out the review page on my website. There'll be a link to that down below in the description, and on that page you'll find links to the Nike ID customizer as well as close-up images of my shoes if you just want to see some of the close-up details. But with that being said, let's get right into the video. Starting off with the colorway, I have to say I'm really happy with how my pair actually turned out. Whenever I use any kind of customization service, not just Nike ID, I try to create a colorway that one, has some kind of a theme to it, and two, looks like it could be a general release colorway. And I think that I did a good job in terms of creating a colorway that looks clean, very simple, all the colors work together. It's not too kind of bright, it's not too flashy, and it just looks like it could be an actual color. It doesn't stick out as a Nike ID shoe, which is kind of what I like about it. Unfortunately, I don't really have a theme here. I just created something that I thought looked really good, and that's why I ended up ordering it. Now within the Nike ID customization service, you actually have a fair amount of options on this particular model, and of course the colors and different patterns you can choose from will vary from model to model. But with this shoe, like I said, I was pretty happy with the amount of options that you have. Now the first thing that you're going to have to choose within the customization service is whether you want an indoor or a turf bottom. I went for an indoor bottom, as you guys can see, just because when I use this type of a shoe, indoor playing surfaces is what I'm going to be playing on most frequently. So that's why I went with an indoor bottom. And for whatever reason, the actual options for the sole itself, the color of the sole, varies depending on whether you go for indoor or turf. If you choose indoor, you have three options: solid black, solid white, or a combination of the two. You can call it a camo, you can call it kind of a cow pattern, and I ended up going for that cow pattern, as I'd like to call it. You can see it is kind of completely random, so it varies on both shoes. You see it kind of going around the edge of the shoe, which I thought was pretty cool. The only downside to going with an indoor bottom and only being able to choose between black or white is you're kind of forced to choose black or white as some kind of a color in the actual upper, at least in my opinion, if you want the shoe to look correct. It's just something I'm very nitpicky about. The shoe has to have some kind of cohesion as far as all the colors are concerned. Otherwise, to me, it just doesn't look right. Now, if you go with the turf bottom, you have 7 colors to choose from as opposed to just 3 with indoor. So again, if you're going to be using these most frequently on turf and going for a turf variation, like I said, your options are a little bit more numbered, which is definitely a good thing. Just wish they would have incorporated those extra colors with the indoor bottom as well. No real explanation as to why those options are not available. Moving on to the midsole, you do have either black, white, or hyper turquoise to choose from, which is kind of a random third option. I went with black, as you guys can see, just because I thought it worked best with my overall colorway. And then moving on to the upper, you have quite a few different options. Now with the upper, you can choose basically one solid color across the entire upper with the option of adding this graphic, where essentially it's like a checkerboard pattern that runs along the edges here, and then covers the instep area as well, and it flows across the back of the heel. It's a black and white checker pattern. You can only make it black and white, and it only allows for one base color. I decided to not go for that pattern color just because I like the option to choose 2 different colors within the Nike Skin upper, which I thought looked pretty cool. So for my main base color, I went with white, and that's going to determine the color for the forefoot area of the shoe. The one-piece kind of neoprene covering here on the top of the shoe, as well as the midfoot on the medial side and the rest of the heel area. And then, as they call it, the quarter area, you can choose a second color. I went with black, and you can see that fills in the lateral side of the midfoot, and then this little visible stripe here, as well as fills in the actual base layer of the Nike Skin, which you can see the little cutouts here show black that accent well with, of course, the accent on the outside of the shoe. This little Nike symbol right there doesn't seem to change no matter what colors you choose, so it's always going to be a black outline with a little white in the middle. The heel liner also does not change. It's going to kind of match the base color that you choose. So because I chose white, the liner ends up being white, and the area around here ends up being white as well. The second thing that you have to choose from is actually the Nike swoosh on the upper. I ended up going for the solid Nike swoosh, and you have 2 options here. You can go for a standard solid Nike swoosh, or you can go with the Nike swoosh that's available on the standard color that has this kind of broken up camo color. You do have more color options if you go with the solid swoosh as opposed to the camo swoosh. I think both look pretty good. I just personally prefer the look of the solid swoosh, and I think that all the general release colorways will have a swoosh like this as opposed to a solid one. So I kind of just wanted to make something a little bit different, which is why I went for the solid swoosh in what they called Old Royal. It's essentially just a royal blue. You have it here on the lateral side of the shoe as well as right here. To me, it really reminded me of what you're going to find on a Mercurial or a Hypervenom Phantom, and that's why I went with it. Plus, I just think it looks a little bit better than this camo swoosh right here. Again, everyone's going to have their own preference as far as what they like the look of, and that's why a service like Nike ID actually exists. The final thing that you can choose from, or no, sorry, not the final thing, the next thing you can choose from is actually the laces. Now, again, pretty straightforward. You have a couple different colors to choose from. I went with the same Old Royal or royal blue color that matches the Nike swooshes on the shoe. I just thought it looked pretty good. Black or white would also look good, but I just wanted that little bit of accent in the laces, and I think the blue definitely looks pretty cool. And then on the very back, you have that little reflective strip with the blue outline, and that little outline you also have the option to change with all the different colors that are available with the rest of the upper. And again, I opted for that little bit of blue accent on the rear portion of the shoe as opposed to just going with black or white. And then the final thing you can of course change is the actual customization on the shoe. You can choose to go with no customization, a short ID, which essentially just consists of 2 digits, or a long ID, which consists of up to 5 digits, I believe. So I went with the long ID, and I put SR4U in that Old Royal color for, I think, pretty obvious reasons. And that's pretty much the explanation on why I came up with this colorway, how I came up with this colorway, and what all the options on Nike ID for this particular shoe will allow you to achieve as far as a final product is concerned. Again, the finishing seems to be pretty good. Really happy with it. It feels and definitely looks very similar to a standard colorway release. No real differences there as far as the materials are concerned, just a different color, and that's pretty much all you want with the Nike ID customization service. So let me know what you guys think of my design down below in the comments. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Why or why not? And next we'll move on to the technical specifications of the shoe itself. As far as technical specifications and the overall performance of the Elastico Finale 3 is concerned, it is one of my personal favorite indoors currently out there on the market, and especially if you're looking for something that is going to offer a very premium barefoot sensation, but you don't necessarily like the mid-cut Flyknit design of the Elastico Superfly, the Elastico Finale 3 is definitely a shoe that you should strongly consider. Now, the upper is made pretty much entirely from Nike skin. It's the same top-end synthetic material found on the Hypervenom Phantom, which is of course a very popular outdoor model from Nike, and it also was featured on the previous Elastico Finale 2 as well. This variation of Nike skin is very, very thin, soft, and flexible as you would expect. Nike skin, for those that don't know, is made up from a base layer of kind of honeycomb mesh material, which is what gives it its texturing, and then you have very thin layers of polyurethane fused on top to create a one-piece synthetic upper that, like I said, is soft, thin, very, very flexible, but because of that slightly kind of padded three-dimensional mesh base layer, you do have a slightly padded sensation to it as well. So it's just a really interesting synthetic, and it works extremely well on this particular shoe. Something that is new to the Elastico Finale 3 coming from the 2 is that you now have a one-piece design. So something that is similar to the Mercurial Vapor 10. Instead of being one same Tasian synthetic going all the way around, you have Nike skin on either side, and then this thick elasticated kind of neoprene-like material running through the middle. And I say thick just because it's thicker than the actual Nike skin, but not by much. It's still a relatively thin material, as you guys can see from that kind of angle right there. And again, it creates a one-piece enclosure for your foot, no overlapping material, which feels really good. It locks your foot in place really, really nicely, and just has a nice premium feel overall. So no complaints at all regarding the one-piece design. I know some people don't like it, but I'm actually a really big fan. Because of that one-piece design, there is no tongue, as you guys can see, and you just have an opening here that is slightly elasticated. So getting your foot inside is perhaps a little bit trickier than a standard pair of soccer shoes, but certainly nothing that is difficult, I would say. Just a little bit trickier at first, but once you get used to it, it's no big deal at all. You do have an internal plastic heel counter right there for both protection as well as stability when your foot is inside of the shoe and you are making quick changes of direction. The heel liner is a kind of open mesh material with a little bit of extra padding at the back, nothing too significant, just enough to maintain a nice comfortable fit. The insole is fully removable and the same as a standard pair of Elastico Finale 3s. It just has the Nike ID branding as opposed to the standard Nike branding. You can see that it's a mesh liner on top, and it's made from one single layer of fairly thick foam that does a good job of providing some underfoot cushioning on what is otherwise a very, very low profile shoe. You have somewhat of a midsole here made from Phylon foam in the heel as well as the midfoot, and that's really the only underfoot cushioning other than what's provided by the insole that you're going to get. In the forefoot, there's pretty much nothing there other than just the insole, no plastic construction to the base of the shoe. So because of that, it's very close to the ground, very, very low profile and extremely flexible. So if you're looking for that nice kind of ability to feel the court under your feet, then something like this is definitely something to consider. Whereas if you prefer something that has a lot of underfoot cushioning, this may not be the best option for you. And like I mentioned, the shoe is available in both indoor and turf variations. This is the indoor variation, so it's designed for, of course, indoor court, smooth, flat, playing surfaces. And it features this kind of hexagon-like design with the little smaller hexagons kind of filling in the lines around it. As you guys can see, it's a fairly sticky type of rubber. It grips the court quite well. And even if the floor is a little bit dusty, I found this particular traction pattern to perform really, really well. So as far as traction is concerned, on an indoor court playing surface, you're going to get some really good traction. And even if you want to use this on concrete outdoors as a street soccer shoe, you have a really nice lip going around the edge of the shoe for durability. And the actual rubber itself, despite it being very sticky, actually feels quite durable. So you're going to get a pretty good lifespan out of this shoe if you do choose to use it as a street soccer shoe versus using it strictly on indoor courts. Just keep in mind that if you do use any indoor shoe outdoors, not just this one, the durability certainly won't be as good as if you were to use it on clean indoor courts. So again, something to keep in mind, but like I said, a very versatile sole on this particular indoor variation. And again, as far as quality is concerned, it feels just like a standard colorway release of the Elastico Finale 3. No complaints there whatsoever. All of the same elements are included, just in a wrap that features your own custom colors that you get to choose yourself. So that's pretty much it as far as the tech specs and performance are concerned. An absolutely fantastic indoor shoe if you ask me. And next we'll move on to a quick on feet so you can get a better idea as to how these shoes fit and of course what the sizing is like. All right, here's a look at the Elastico Finale 3s on feet, and for those who are wondering, yes, they fit and feel just like a general colorway release would. What I like about this shoe is one, the ultra soft, very flexible and thin Nike Skin upper. It moves nicely with your foot and really requires no break-in time whatsoever, plus it provides an excellent touch on the ball if you're looking for that thin barefoot sensation with a slight amount of padding. Definitely very unique and a highlight of this particular shoe. And I also really like the one-piece design. It's taken or shared, I guess, a little bit from what we see with the Mercurial Vapor 10 as well as the Superfly 4 or Magista Obra. Obviously, this is not made from Tahitian synthetic or Flyknit. Instead, you get the stretchy neoprene material. So when you slide your foot inside the shoe, even prior to tying the laces tight, it provides this nice snug sensation. And then when you pull those laces tight, it wraps your foot really tightly. There's no overlapping material, so it has that nice seamless sensation on your foot, but also provides a really consistent touch across the entire foot as well. So performance-wise as well as comfort-wise, I really like the one-piece upper. As far as the width of the shoe is concerned, it is a tighter fitting shoe, which reminds me a little bit of the Mercurial Vapor 10, but certainly not as narrow as the Mercurial line. It still isn't what I would call a wide shoe, but keep in mind that it definitely is wider than a pair of Mercurials, and because the upper is made predominantly from Nike Skin, you will get some decent stretch out of that after a couple hours of wear time. So if they fit a little snug from right out of the box, give them some time to break in, and they should fit quite comfortably after the fact. As far as sizing is concerned, I'm wearing my usual size 9 US here, and the fit and the length is absolutely perfect. So if you are looking to order a pair of these for yourself, I would strongly recommend going true to size for the best possible fit. As far as weight is concerned, because this is such a thin and low profile shoe, it shouldn't be much of a surprise that it's also going to be relatively lightweight. So I'm going to weigh this pair for you today in real time. Keep in mind this is a brand new pair in a size 9 US. Going to throw it on the scale, and you can see they weigh in at 6.9 ounces, so just under the 7 ounce mark, which is very, very lightweight for a pair of indoors. It's going to have that low to the ground feel like I talked about because of its very low profile sole with the lack of plastic. So again, if you're looking to be very low profile, very, very lightweight, have a shoe that fits nice and tight and just feels very responsive, then you're going to love what you get from the Elastico Finale 3. Alright guys, that's it for my review of the Nike ID Elastico Finale 3. Again, really happy with the Nike ID service this time around. The shoes arrived in a timely manner for when I placed my order. The quality of the final product looks great. As far as how the Nike ID version of the Elastico Finale 3 compares to the general release colorways, I would say that they are pretty much identical in every single way, both in terms of the materials used, the overall quality, as well as how the shoes fit and feel. So that is not something you should worry about if you were planning on ordering a pair of these. And again, if you can justify the extra $40 for a custom colorway, then by all means I would say that these are 100% worth it and just a great shoe overall. So again, if you guys want more info on this particular shoe, check out the review page on my website. There'll be a link to that down below in the description. You'll find the high quality images as well as the buy it now links if you guys are interested in using the Nike ID customization service and creating your own colorways of the Elastico Finale 3. If you guys have any questions at all or suggestions, leave those down below in the comment section and I definitely will get an answer out to you. If you enjoyed today's video, found it helpful and informative, be sure to support it with a like. That would be greatly appreciated. Subscribe if you haven't already for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. You can find all my social media information down below in the description as well. And other than that guys, hope you enjoyed today's video, and as always, thanks for watching.